Ooh, wrong. Hang on one. Alrighty, now I am ready. Had the wrong background up. Ooh, that was bad. But I was good, y'all. It's your guy, it's your boy. Hold up, let me turn so you make sure my mic's turned all the way up. It's your boy. All right, what's good, y'all? It's your guy Bendu. God damn it, man. It's your guy Bendu. I hope everybody's doing good tonight. As you can tell by the title, we are here to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Fresh out of the theater reaction. I literally just saw it about like an hour. I got out about an hour ago, maybe hour and a half. Man, some things to talk about. Some things to talk about. So I was in the theater. That was something that was striking for me, is that I was in the theater by myself. I had the whole theater to myself. Now it is a Tuesday. I tend to go on Tuesdays because it's like half off day um for the theater that I normally go to. So, but I mean, look, this movie has only made $300 million so far. It had a 70% drop off in the second weekend. So that's, I think they said that's like the biggest for the MCU to date. So yeah, man, this movie, and judging by the Rotten Tomatoes score and all the reviews and everything, like I feel like people, word of mouth is working its magic, just in a bad way this time for Marvel. So, but um coming out of this movie, I will say I had some mixed emotions about it. For the most part, mostly positive for me. And specifically like the first hour and some change, like the first hour, 10 minutes, hour like 15, something like that, 20, were it was really dope to me. It was like a really dope science fiction Marvel film for me. In many ways, and this is something I'm going to talk about later in the review, it really gave me the vibes of what I feel an MCU Fantastic Four film would be. And that first, like I said, that first hour and 15, 20 was really dope. And I'm like, if this is what the Fantastic Four is going to be like, I'm looking forward to it. And obviously, spoiler alert, this whole review is going to be filled with spoilers. Um, Kang the Conqueror is the villain. Kang is a historically from the comics, a Fantastic Four villain. So after the first hour and 15 minutes, though, um, yeah, that's where the problems are. But I'm just gonna go in order of the notes I took. I was able to take notes in there, have my phone out taking notes while I'm watching the film because, like I said, I was the only one in there. I usually like turn my phone off and all that shit, but like I walked into the theater and I'm like, oh, I'm the only one in here. Interesting. Not a good sign, but again, it's a Tuesday, and I live in a pretty small town, relatively small town, so wasn't necessarily surprised by that. I've had that happen to me before, but usually with like smaller films. But regardless, um, now that I think about it, even when I went to see Babylon, I saw Babylon with SM Young, and that was like there was people in there. I was, like I said, I was the only one in there, which is, like I said, striking. But um going into this movie, I was really like, I went for Kang. I'm not gonna lie. It's not that I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I actually liked that film for the sake of comedy. That film had its, issues with me as well. But um and in fact, I believe that one took place, like the timeline setting within the MCU was between Endgame, or between Infinity War and Endgame. But I think, like, I'm pretty sure that movie came out between those movies. I'm pretty sure it did. So, but I had my issues with that movie, but I overall liked it. I know some people didn't like that film as well. Um, but I liked it. But I have to be honest, going into this one, I was really looking forward to Kang. I'm a fan of Jonathan Majors. I'm slowly becoming a stan. That guy, like everything I've seen him in, has been really dope. I'm even going to go check out that new war film or whatever he's in. So that should be fascinating to see. But I was going for to see him as Kang because I'm like, yo, I'm ready to. I want to see this motherfucker, see how he does as a villain. Obviously, he's going to be the villain in Creed 3 as well. So that comes out this Friday. I'm probably just going to go see that Friday. I'm gonna be completely honest, but seeing his performance in the film, because he's literally not, he doesn't come, he doesn't like come into the film, like literally like his first scene is technically at the beginning of the film, but that's only like a couple seconds or a couple minutes, just as like a cold opener, I guess. But a cold open. But like Kang, respectively, like getting to know him and things like that, he didn't come into the story till, like I said, that hour mark. And that's not a sign saying Kang was bad. Like as soon as Kang came in, the movie became bad. It was just a sign of, I feel like they didn't play their Kang card right. I will say that. And but even when it got to that hour mark and you start seeing him doing villainous shit, doing Kang shit, I'm like, yo, this nigga is the Marvel's Frank Lucas, bro. Like it was a point where he had, and again, spoilers, he had Ant-Man locked up in the cell, had him pinned up against the wall, and I was half expecting this nigga to come out and be like, "That's alpaca, you dab that shit, nigga." I'm like, damn, bro. He yoking up the daughter and shit. I'm like, bro, this nigga is ruthless, bro. And it's like seeing that ruthlessness, like he's like just cold. He doesn't give a fuck, bro. He doesn't give a fuck. Like he was like, look, bro, if you gonna help me, then help me. If not, then I'm gonna kill your daughter in front of you and make you relive that moment over and over again, bro. So like, what's it gonna be? You gonna help me, or you gonna, like, what's going on? So that aspect, that ruthlessness of Kang, I fucked with heavily. And then when you move forward into the story, you learn more about him. He does really come off as like a Thanos, and it's kind of that continuation of the He Who Remains storyline a little bit, because this Kang seems like he's doing these ruthless things. Honestly, because it's in his nature to do them, it's in his nature to be a conqueror, because that towards the end you kind of see that come out. But like him being a conqueror is serving a greater purpose, because he was exiled by all, as you find out later, these other Kangs that I'm going to get into later in the review as well. So, and again, like I said, this is full on spoilers. So, spoilers. Actually, let me go and change that in the title. Can I change that? I don't think I can change it. Spoil. Look, it's going to be spoilers. Let me see. There we go. There we go. But yeah, so learning that the other Kangs, and if we gonna get it, like, as we gonna get into it, but they were the ones that exiled him to the quantum realm, is really dope. So they basically early, not early on, but when he finally like came into the story, they present this concept that he can't, basically the quantum realm would essentially be the only way that you like stop, that you can stop him as of right now, that we know of right now. But it could be something else. Obviously, I think they're going to discover another way, because I don't see them just locking him in the quantum realm again to solve the issue when it comes to Avengers. But but that concept was really dope to me. And like Janet, you find out that Janet was down there. She met him early on, and she didn't know that he was like Kang the Conqueror, and she helped him rebuild his time chair, like his chair from, if any of you have seen like the animated Avengers show, he kind of has that. They call it a ship, but it's really his time chair. Like, let's be real, it's his time chair. But he's almost like Mobius in that. Like, honestly, like I never made that comparison, but he's almost like Mobius from the DC universe. So but the New Gods, created by Jack Kirby. But him and Janet are kind of like helping him rebuild. She's helping him rebuild his ship, with him promising to return her, to take her back home. And then like they present this idea that the time ship is basically like it's connected to Kang's mind, like he's connected to it neurally. So like when she touched part of the ship, she like saw his memories and things like that, and saw that, like, oh, this guy is a dick, basically. So that was the whole storyline with Janet, and she basically went on a run from Kang, because she destroyed the time engine that they needed for the ship to work. So they fixed it, and then she helped destroy it and everything. But so that concept was dope. What's her Michelle Pfeiffer was really dope in this movie, bro. Like I would like to see her in like more action films. Like throw her in a John Wick movie. I think that would be really cool because a lot of I think she had the best action sequences here, aside from like some of the like rebellion stuff that they did in here. So there's like native indigenous people from the quantum realm that Kang basically like pushed them off of their their home world basically and conquered it basically and took it over. So, but yeah, so but all this boils to me saying like Kang is Marvel's Frank Lucas, bro. Like that's alpaca. You dab that shit. Obviously, I'm making a reference to American Gangster, but um, let's see. And honestly, there were certain points of this film where like I thought they were going to kill Ant-Man. I thought they were going to kill Scott because if you know anything about the comics, you know that Scott Lang isn't the only Ant-Man. Obviously, you have Hank Pym as Ant-Man, but you also have like Eric O'Grady. Now he wasn't that popular in the comics, so I don't know if they would ever do that, but and he was kind of a pervert too. He would like use his shrinking powers to like spy on like the female superheroes when they were in the shower and everything, which is kind of weird. But now that when you really look back and think about it, but um uh and I think honestly they should have done that. Because if you're presenting Kang, and this kind of goes into my some of my issues with the film, is that if you're presenting Kang and you want him to be presented as this menacing force, then it's like you should probably have him do something big, like kill Ant-Man. Now, no, it's like it's Ant-Man, but then at the same time, like when you get to the end of this film, like Ant-Man beats Kang, and I want to get to my issue with that. And it's like, damn, like Kang in this situation, like Kang is damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you kill Ant-Man, that's like, I don't know, killing the guy in the wheelchair, I guess. Like, no offense to Ant-Man and Paul Rudd. Like, I love Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, but let's be real, against Kang, like, you're not a challenge, bro. And they set that up in the beginning and his introduction in the film, with the way they introduced him, but then they don't follow through on that later on in the film. And that like the inconsistencies, how they set up rules with Kang and then they break those rules later on for the sake of the story. And it's like or for the sake of like pushing the story forward. And it's like that it just doesn't work for me, bro. It's like you're breaking your own rules, and I don't like that. So and one of the scenes where I thought they were going to kill him off was in the probability storm. So there's that I think is a dope idea. So basically, Janet and she like embiggened the time engine that they needed for, or the multiverse engine, whatever the fuck they called it, that goes into his chair. She like put like one of the grow things that they have and made it grow. So basically, like Kane couldn't use it basically, and they had to jump to the core or the center of the engine to shrink it down. So Kang threatened to kill Cassie if Scott didn't do it. So Scott had to like literally dive into the engine. But as you're going into the engine, since it's a time engine or a multiverse engine, like all of these different versions of Ant-Man started popping out. And that's kind of like the thing you saw happening in the trailer. And it's like it was certain points where I was like, damn, are they really going to kill him off here? That would be dope if they did that. But they didn't. But that was a scene where I felt like they could have done it. But then they do this like cheesy thing. It's almost like Interstellar a little bit, where like love transcends all time and dimensions and things like that lame ass scene from Interstellar that I like the concept of, but again, the way Chris Nolan like articulated it and like did it in the film was kind of lame. And it's lame here as well because all of these Scots like start running around like trying to escape and things like that. But then like they hear Cassie yelling, and then they all pitch together, and like you see MODOK, and we're gonna get to MODOK later, who's Yellow Jacket, Darren Cross, basically. He was like, "How are you doing this?" And they're like, "Because we all care about one thing, the love for my daughter." He didn't say that exactly, but that's basically what it was. And I was like, this shit is whack, bro. I literally in the theater, I said out loud. That's I'm kind of glad nobody was there. There were a lot of moments where I was like, they're not doing this. And they were doing it, and they were doing it here. I'm like, this is lame, bro. Like, what is this? Like the concept, it could have been really in a better director's hands and in a better writer's hands. And we're gonna get into the writing as well. I feel like this could have been a really trippy, like Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange level scene. Because I felt like they didn't like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness didn't really have that trippy feel and effect to it either. And this could have been the perfect thing with that. They did it with the first Ant-Man, where it was like this psychedelic trip into the quantum realm and things like that. And even in the second Ant-Man, it was like I dropped like a tab of acid, a couple two or three tabs of acid, and went down to the quantum realm. That's what the quantum realm looked like in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But um given that this is like a time, it could have been trippy as fuck, and they didn't capitalize on, that. And I think in a better director's hands, that could have been a thing, and it could have been way better. So the idea was dope, but the execution of it was just lackluster. And thus, goes into why, and they ended up not killing him off in that scene either. So that goes into a lot of the problems that I have with that storyline. And then it's like, another concept they had in there was basically like, they discover later like these socialist ants, basically, or these technocratic ants. And like, just on the whole political level, I'm not going to get into it here because I do a political channel. It's called American Autopsy. I might talk about this in the stream because this was just so dumb. And it's like, oh, these technocratic ants are, they built this society. So basically, because of how time works in the quantum realm, the ants that got sucked into there, when like they all got sucked into the quantum realm, they ended up going to like a different part of the quantum realm, or a different level of it. And time, like 1,000 years passed for them, so they ended up building like this like advanced society, basically. And like, Hank Pym was like, I know the word socialist is kind of charged, but that's like, oh my god, like, what are y'all doing right now? This, they had a whole bunch of dope ideas in here that could have been like a Marvel one shot. Like, they could have done a Marvel one shot, like the way they did with or what is their thing that they're calling their one shots now, basically like the whole Werewolf by Night thing. They could have done that with these ants. Just like, I feel like they could have done um a one shot about the whole rebellion storyline that they had in here, like the Quantum Realm people rebelling back against Kang. Like, that could have been the whole thing. And then like, you could have really explored these characters in that short, and then in the film you see them pop up in the film. So it was, a lot of this stuff was just weird. And I don't know, man. And let's talk about Cassie. Again, this is going to be kind of political. I'm not going to get too political with this, but Cassie just came off as annoying. She came off as like just this like white savior type, like, and it was just like so fucking annoying. Like, instead, like, and I saw the parallels again, dope ideas of paralleling her being like her father in the first Ant-Man film, where like he basically went to jail for breaking into Vista Corp. I think that's what they said, like the corporation within the MCU, and that's how he got arrested, because he stole data or did something where he gave money back to people and crashed the CEO's car into his pool. Like, all this shit that Scott did, that landed him in jail, is kind of like the same path that his daughter's going down, like to help people. She's getting into a lot of trouble, and I saw that parallel, but they showed you that with Scott, as opposed to over and over again repeatedly, just telling you, like, they basically are showing you the consequences of doing the right thing, and how that can eventually drive somebody to become more self-serving, which they did with the Ant-Man films, the first film. And but it was more preachy with his daughter here, and then Scott was kind of playing the role of like his wife, and all these different people played in the first Ant-Man film and everything. And it was just, I like what Paul Rudd was doing, but I just, and the actress playing his daughter wasn't bad. It was just, again, the writing was atrocious with this film. Even like later on in the film, to like galvanize the quantum realm people, she gave like this speech that was almost like the Winter Soldier speech that Captain America gave in the Winter Soldier, when they were trying to alert the other Shield agents and everything that Hydra had infiltrated and everything. That speech he gave, it was like that, but it was just trash. Like, I was like, what is this? Like, why are y'all presenting this girl as like this white savior type of thing? And then it's like, and I'm not saying that as like to be a political, but that's annoying. Like, one, you're already gonna ignore a certain segment of the audience with that. They're going, oh, this is SJW bullshit, but then you don't even execute it in a good way to where like, like, people can at least see like, okay, this is, I may not like this, but it's executed well. You feel me? And it's like that, and neither thing worked. So it's like, this is kind of whack. So it kind of goes in line with a lot of issues I have with a lot of Marvel storytelling as of late, that they tell you more than they show you. Like, I'm a huge proponent of show me, don't tell me. So, uh, let me see. Like I said, I'm just going down my notes, checking things off. The socialist, like I said, the socialist anti-idea, like, was just, like I said, that could have been like a one-shot thing they did. And again, Jonathan Majors, his performance was great as Kang. Like, he really elevated the writing he was given to him. But again, the writing is trash here. for Jonathan Majors. Like it gets to the point where he basically is losing. Kang is after they present him as this like unbeatable figure, Kang is losing. And it's like it was like, do you think you can stop me? I am Kang. Like it gets into like it didn't get into like bad like Jim Carrey, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like just straight up like cartoon villain bad. They didn't get there, but it looked like it was starting to get. If they had like 5 or 10 more minutes in this film, it would have got there. And it was like, oh my God, don't do Jonathan Majors like this, bro. And they ended up not doing him that bad, in my opinion, towards the end in terms of the writing. But it's just like I was expecting more from him in this storyline. And everything they gave us was dope, but the execution of it at the end of the film, it just seemed like he gets beat by Ant-Man. I'll just go ahead and skip to it. He gets beat by a swarm of fucking ants. And then eventually like him and Scott have this like hand-to-hand combat fight at the end. So basically like they've already like made aware that it's Kang's tech that makes him um as powerful as he is, which okay, fine. Literally our leading MCU character and Iron Man, like that was the whole story through line with his character. Fine, you can do that, but it would be dope if we had a character that was formidable without the technology, a villain that was formidable without it. Like he basically doesn't have that flaw or weakness that Iron Man has. Like I can see them trying to present Kang as, oh, without his tech, like basically like Tony Stark learned to be formidable and learned to be X, Y, and Z without the tech, and Kang never learned that, and that's how they're going to beat him. Like, I don't want to see that. Don't do that. But that's kind of what they did here. So it's like in the future, what are we going to do with him? Like, if he can get beat by fucking Ant-Man, that is the main crux and issue of this. And after I get through the whole review and everything, I'm going to pull up a couple articles where they're talking about this from Murphy's Multiverse. So but a lot of the writing, like, and then the jokes on top of this, they had like this little like squid thing where like if you, it's weird, and if you like drink his like goo, he's like a goo creature. Because like I liked a lot of the creature designs in this. A lot of like people were talking about like the CGI being the CGI, like look, a lot, some of it was iffy, but a lot of the designs of the quantum realm was really dope. I liked a lot of the designs in here. Like people like took screenshots of certain scenes, I guess, and tried to paint it like, oh, Spy Kids have better. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. This film never struck me as like a Spy Kids thing. If anything, this struck me more so as like like a sci-fi channel type of film where the story in these and a lot of those films are dope, but it's the budget. But this scene, like it came off like that, solid story, dope, like The Expanse a little bit. It came off like that to me a little bit in terms of science fiction, and it really worked like that. Like I said, those aspects, the science fiction stuff worked for me. It's that they never really tried to tell, a good story or have a good theme, tied in with that stuff, and that's where it kind of, you know, fell off for me. But the writing, they have like a joke in here where this like goo creature, where basically like if you drink his goo and everything, you can like understand the language of the people in the quantum realm. Basically, it's basically like a workaround for them um to be able to communicate, kind of like they have like the communicator chips and Guardians of the Galaxy, but they never really made a big thing about that in Guardians of the Galaxy, whereas they make a big thing about it here. To have a whole 5 minutes or 5-6 minutes to explain that with this weird ass scene too, and it's like, okay, whatever. But the whole thing is I have no holes, and like he sees like Scott Lang's like mouth, obviously his orifices, and he's like, how many holes do you have? And it's like just this weird stupid joke. It's almost like they tried to take like the Cronenberg stuff and make it funny, you feel me? And it's like it just didn't work. Where if you wanted to do like that, Cronenberg style, like why didn't you just adapt, like use like some of the things they did with like The Fly, for example? So um that was kind of weird to me. But a lot of this stuff was weird. Like MODOK was trash. That the CGI for MODOK was horrible, bro. Like they made a fool out of Corey Stoll in this film. If I was Corey Stoll, I would have been like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Like they made a fool out of him in this film, bro. Like the less I say about MODOK, the better. I did not like MODOK in this film. I felt like initially, like the first 5-10 minute introduction of him, I was like, all right, the first 5-10 minutes he's on screen, I'm like, all right, this is weird, but I can see them build something on top of this and make MODOK dope. Nope. And I'm like, the Avengers game, even though like the gameplay overall wasn't that great, I like the story for the Avengers. I really like how they did MODOK in that. They made him really formidable to the Avengers. They never did that here. And it really is a shame, honestly, because like I said, he could have been a really dope villain, even going forward, a dope villain for Cassie, because it seems like they're building up towards Young Avengers. So that could have been a villain at the Young Avengers fight. That would have been dope. And it's just like it was weird, man. And going back to Jonathan Majors, he was overcooking it at certain points, especially in the post-credit scenes, like where he was playing all these different versions of Kang. He was overcooking it. It seems like he had a lot of fun doing it. He's having fun doing it, but I still want you to maintain that quality level that Jonathan Majors delivers. And at certain points, he was over just a tad bit. He, like I said, it never went into like Jim Carrey territory, Jim Carrey Riddler territory, or Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face territory. It never went there. But I can see how if they had like 5-10 more minutes, it would have got closer to there. I would even say it was anywhere in the same realm, but if they, I could see how they could have kept going down the path to get there. So that's something that needs to be worked on. But like I said, I have an article pulled up where he even talks about that. So the writer, I think his name, what is his name? Jeff Loveness. That's his name. So yeah. But um all in all, man, I give this film a 6 out of 10. I think this would have been this should have been a Fantastic Four film, bro. This should have been Fantastic Four's first film. This would have two things. I'll say two things. This would have really worked if this was a Fantastic Four film, or it would have worked if Ant-Man was if the Ant-Man family was working with one or two of the Fantastic Four characters. And that's how you kind of set up the Fantastic Four. Like, and don't have like Reed Richards. Obviously, I wouldn't introduce Reed Richards in this film. Well, maybe you could, because that would, like I said, that would work. But I would say like maybe Sue and Johnny, like they were doing some experiment and they got thrown across the multiverse, and Reed and Ben are and somewhere else, and Sue and Johnny got tossed into the quantum realm basically. And they got tossed in there when Janet left basically. So they've only been there not that long. So that would have been cool to see that and like have them involved in it, because like I said, I feel like this would have worked way better. This was a Fantastic Four story. And that's kind of like the void that the Ant-Man universe has always filled for me, was that Fantastic Four, that obvious Fantastic Four void. But now that they're in the universe and they're on their way, they're coming, it's like, all right, we need to start transitioning Ant-Man to fulfill another role, or kind of have them be the stepping stone for Fantastic Four to get there. And I think this film would have been the perfect way to do that. And I feel like that was just a wasted opportunity. They had everything in here. Like they had the Council of Kangs in here, man. Like they had the Kang Council. That was the first post-credit scene or mid-credit scene. They had the Kang Council. They had it looks like they had what is this? What Kang was it? I always forget what Kang. Not the He Who Remains one, but the other one. I forgot what Kang it was, but they had the Rama Tut version of Kang, and they had like another version. It was like 3 versions, and then eventually they panned out to the whole council. It was like a whole bunch of different Kangs and everything. Like they this was a Fantastic Four movie, and it would have worked better as a Fantastic Four movie. And honestly, like I said, I've liked what Peyton Reed has done with these characters. Like, but I'm so glad he didn't get Fantastic Four. I was one of those people that was rooting for him to get it. After seeing this film, I'm so glad he did not get it. Now, there's other people I wish would have gotten it. Honestly, I would have liked to have seen a Ryan Coogler Fantastic Four film personally, but they got this other guy doing it. So we'll see how he handles it. But let's see. And just going into the future, man, I can see, so the way they defeat Kang is that Hope and Scott basically defeat Kang in like this hand-to-hand combat. So they open this portal. They use Kang's multiversal thing to open the portal so they can get back to the real world. But my question is like, all right, if you guys so they're all going through the portal, and then Scott sees Kang coming, and he pushes Cassie through, and him and Kang are basically like duking it out and everything. I'm like, all right, so what would have happened if Scott would have walked through the portal? Like all Kang, and they left the battery behind basically. I'm like, all Kang would have had to do was wake up, and like I guess he was knocked out or whatever, but he would have woken up and still had his battery, and it's like game over for the quantum realm, and now he can dip on top of that, or the quantum realm people. So it's like, that was kind of weird, but um it was a lot of things that just didn't make sense. But they basically defeat him by like punching him into they were like they damaged the multiverse engine to his chair and everything, and he ended up, it looked like he got sucked into it. So I'm like, it would be dope if he basically was transported. And I hear the rumor, a lot of people are saying, well, not rumor, but like the fan theory is that he got transported to the realm of the Beyonder or the Beyonders, whichever one they're going to do. I personally hope they do the Beyonders because that would be fire. I mean, like they still like the Beyonder is basically like one of part of the Beyonders. So you have the Beyonder and you have the Beyonders. That's a whole thing that go read or watch Comics Explain or read some comic book resource to understand that. I'm not going to sit here and explain it. It's going to take too long. But basically, I'm like, what if that Kang got transported to the realm of the Beyonders or the Beyonder? But then I'm like, do I really want to see him become the villain of Kang Dynasty? The guy who got fucking beat by Ant-Man? I don't think so. So I hope that's not the case because this nigga just got his ass beat by Ant-Man. So no, I don't want to see this Kang. I like I said, the aesthetic of him starting out when he was introduced and all that was cool, but you got beat by a swarm of ants, and then you got your ass beaten hand-to-hand combat by fucking Ant-Man, bro. No, do not bring this Kang back. He's dead, done, gone. And they kind of confirmed that in the mid-credit scene, so I'm kind of glad. But now I kind of see they're going to be adapting a lot from the 2015 Secret Wars in terms of like the incursions, because that's kind of what the post-credit scene was talking about and Quantumania, the mid-credit scene. And then like the post-credit scene was basically just like a scene that looked like from Loki, which was fire. I'm excited for Loki now. So, but yeah, like I said, man, all in all, I give this film a 6 out of 10. I would still say go see it in theaters. Some of the visuals were dope. So a lot of the visuals were dope. So it's still worth going to see in theaters. Try and catch it at like a matinee, or if you have like a half off day at your local theater or a theater near you, do it then if you can. But I would say even if not, you're not able to do that, it's still worth to go see it in theaters. So yeah, man, that is my review. Me and Wrapped Out Shizz is probably going to talk about this on the Extendo Clip podcast. We actually just recorded a new episode recently. That's going to be coming, so look out for that. But not signing off right now. That's just I wanted to give like a tail end to the review. So when I go edit it and post and re-chop it up and everything, got to do it for the post. Now we're just going to kick it on the stream a little bit and read a couple articles. But yeah, man, like so. And let's go on YouTube too. Look at a couple things. I want to see what other people are saying about it. Because I tend to I try to stay away from I try to stay away from people's reviews before I see a film so it doesn't contradict mine. I mean, so it doesn't bleed into my review. So yeah. But before we get into that, guys, I'm actually gonna run to the bathroom real quick. So stay right here and I'll be right back. right, folks, I'm back. I'm about to give me some water right quick. You heard? So yeah, I'm just gonna go on here on Twitter or not Twitter on Facebook real quick, and not fake. I keep saying I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. I'm going on YouTube to see if I can and just go through some people's thoughts, what they had on it. Let me see. Let me see what Nando V Movies thought about it. If he did a review of it, he did not. He did not. I fuck with Geekly Goods. Let me see what he has to say. Damn, he said it wasn't great. Let me watch this. And honestly, like, I'm kind of hype about the future of Marvel too, to be completely real with you. Or not hype. This is what I meant to say. Like, I'm not hyped for it. Like, I'm still gonna watch it because it's Marvel. I'm a comic book fan, so I'm gonna keep watching it. But I'm more intrigued to see what DC is gonna do going forward in the future than like Marvel. Like, I was just talking to my fucking homie on the phone, and like I think going forward with Marvel, I'm just gonna like watch the things that intrigues me, like, which is probably just going. I'm still gonna watch everything probably because that's usually what I always say that, and then I still end up like watching everything anyway because it's Marvel. I grew up reading Marvel and liking Marvel, so I'm still gonna check it out. But it's certain projects that I'm definitely like looking forward to. Like, uh, I like honestly look. The first thing that pops into my head is Daredevil. I'm so fucking excited for Daredevil, Born Again, but that's going to be on television. I can't like what movie do they have coming out? Like, I liked Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, but I have my issues with that film too. I still have my issues with that. Let me see. And then it's like you just have a lot of people that just don't fuck with Marvel that are coming out of the woodwork now, like, oh, Marvel's done, no, no, no. And it's like, all right, man, like I see why you're saying that, but then you have a lot of people that don't like a lot of the like diversity stuff and the what people say is woke stuff when it comes to Marvel. And it's like, all right, cool, like, fine, like you can say that, but like, and I can't argue. There's some things like Captain Marvel, for example, because I'm looking through I'm looking through the like, hang on. Okay. So I'm like Captain Marvel, for example. That's a film to me, I feel, and this is just my personal opinion. I feel focused too much on, the agenda it was trying to push, like the female empowerment, feminist stuff, which I don't have a problem with that being in a film. But I think the central component of that film should have been about. So if you had, like, for example, so how I talked about like how Hank Pym described the ant society that was built in Quantumania. So when the ants got sucked into the quantum realm with them and they went to a separate part and they experienced like 1,000 years of time passage basically, and they were able to evolve into this like highly advanced society and everything. Like, they present that in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, right? And of course, I'm going back. Like, I'm just saying, like, you could take a concept like that in Captain Marvel, which is basically what the Kree are. That's literally what the Kree is. Like, and you have the supreme intelligence and everything, with that, like they could have explored in there the dangers of artificial intelligence, for example, because that's basically what the supreme intelligence is for all intents and purposes. Like they could have explored the dangers of that within that film, but they never did that. They just focused on telling this hyper focusing on the feminist stuff, which again, that could have been something that's in there. You could have even taken the concept of, oh, like, when you have these when you have, like, for example, we have a society that is run by the supreme intelligence, like it doesn't necessarily leave space for people's identities and things like that. There's so many things you can explore, questions you can explore in a way, especially because superhero comic books are steeply rooted in science fiction, especially from the comics, when with the introduction of Barry Allen's The Flash, when they really started leaning into the science fiction elements. um and that could have been something they explored in that film, but again, instead, they went into the whole "I am woman, hear me roar" stuff, which again could have been really good. That stuff can still be in there and be a thing, but I think that film should have hyper focused on that concept being a technological thriller, where like the films prior, and then Marvel does this, like Ant-Man was a heist film, Civil War was a political thriller along with The Winter Soldier. Iron Man 3 was kind of like exploring that man versus wilderness type of thing, and trying to um persevere in spite of not having the technology you have formerly. Guardians of the Galaxy was like their space epic. All Doctor Strange, all of these different things was focused on spirituality and um, finding purpose and meaning in the universe and things like that. Spider-Man Homecoming was a John Hughes teen drama. All of these different things that they could have explored and Captain Marvel, they chose not to, and that's a shame to me. Um, and like saying like that's and I feel like those like that's what's been going on with these latter films. Like Black Widow was Black Widow. It's like whatever. That had the potential to be like a political spy thriller, but they just squandered it. And I honestly think COVID had a lot to do um with how that film went. But I like Shang-Chi a lot. And Shang-Chi kind of focused on that parental, the parental things, concepts within that, the whole sins of the father type of themes. But Eternals was a film to me that suffered from not necessarily like, not that it didn't have a theme, it was trying to juggle too many themes. And a lot of those themes like sometimes like spoke louder than the other in that film. So No Way Home, No Way Home was fire. I would say out of all of the Phase 4 films, which is which are these, um, by far, Spider-Man No Way Home was the best. I like Shang-Chi a lot. I liked Eternals a lot. Borderline loved that film. I like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I just think they didn't deliver on the Multiverse of Madness aspect. But still, regardless. But yeah, man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, like this film had the potential to explore so many of the ideas that it presented, but and they had the prime thing of Kang in there. But then with the whole like rebellion and all that shit they had going on in the film, they could have explored, how to structure societies, and could have explored imperialism in this film, the effects of imperialism, especially with what's going on in the world now, and nowadays. So there's so many things they could have explored in this film that they just chose not to. And I don't think a director like Peyton Reed, honestly, I'm just going to give it a bean, is capable of, handling those types of um themes and things like that. So, but I look, out of the upcoming films, I'll just stick with Phase 5, Guardians. Well, I'll do 6 too, because that's where I'm not. I don't even know if I'm going to go see the Marvels. I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. They're talking about this shit is going to be part a musical, and it sucks because I'm one of those rare people. I'll literally be arguing with comic book people online, and my homies like me and SM Young been having debates about this. I really enjoyed Miss Marvel. I really liked that show a lot. I'm ready to see Monica Rambeau, bro. Like I liked her in WandaVision. I would have liked to have seen more from her in WandaVision after she got her powers, but whatever. But I'm still like excited to see her. I don't really care about Carol Danvers, bro. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, because like they've just rooted her in the feminist stuff. And a lot of that is, it feels like it's going to be presented in the film again, given what they're talking about. And again, I don't have a problem with those things, but it's like, let's have a story, a compelling story backbone to put that with. Like, you have films like Blade Runner that is exploring humanity. Blade Runner 2049. I love the original Blade Runner too, but 2049 is by far more superior. And look, that film was directed by one of the best motherfuckers in the business right now. But you can still do films like that, man. And the MCU is capable of getting the talent to do these films, to do films like that. So, but I'm honestly, I'm hyped for Captain America: New World Order. I'm very uh intrigued by that, what they're going to do with that. I think that's going to be another one that ruffles a lot of feathers with, obviously you got a black Captain America now. So Thunderbolts, I'm hyped for. And I'm still hyped for Blade, even though it's been going through some issues. Deadpool 3 is Deadpool 3. Like, I'm hyped for that. I'm worried about Fantastic Four after seeing Quantumania, because there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of the elements in Quantumania are things that the Fantastic Four heavily delve in, and especially with the family dynamics and aspects. So I'm not necessarily worried about that, the dynamics of that, of exploring the family dynamics within Fantastic Four, because I thought the family dynamics in Quantumania was dope. It's more of the science fiction elements that I'm concerned with, that they kind of mishandled in Quantumania. So, but Matt Shackman is not Peyton Reed. Let's see what he does. And I'm hyped for Kang Dynasty. Wait, what did this guy direct? The guy who's directing Kang Dynasty. Oh, he did Shang-Chi. Okay. He directed the first Shang-Chi. I didn't know that. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, man. So we got some things coming up. I'm excited to see it. And then Shang-Chi, the sequel's going to fit in there somewhere. So we'll see. But I don't know, man. But let's get into a couple of these articles. Or actually not. Let's watch Geekly Goods his video about Quantumania.
Words you barely hear any MCU fans say, I love the Ant-Man movies. Yikes. Scott Lang. So here's 6 words you barely hear any MCU fans say, I love the Ant-Man movies. Yikes.
Oh, yeah, you on your own.
Scott Lang is just this average Joe who hasn't made the best decisions in life and winds up meeting Hank and Hope. Things just kind of happen, I always love the human aspect.
Like, I can't say I love the Ant-Man films, but I like them a lot. That's where I'm at with them. Even I'll put Quantumania in there too. I can't, not a lot. I liked it, but like I said, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Of these movies and how relatable and real Scott Lang felt as a character. You mix that type of movie with the genuine, charismatic Paul Rudd, and you have a recipe for fun and heartfelt adventure with the first 2 movies. Now, I know not everybody loves the Ant-Man franchise, but it's something that is so dear to me. Those first 2 are a lot of fun. Again, it's that genuine feeling oozing from Scott Lang and his friends.
Just hearing what he has to say so far, I can kind of see where he's going with it. Like, the kind of like the epic sci-fi nature that this thing kind of had. So, yeah.
His family, that just really
they didn't have Michael Pena in here, man, which kind of sucked. T.I. wasn't in here. There was a lot of people that was missing that I wanted to see again. Like, it would have been dope to see like Michael Pena's reaction to like the ant, the creatures down here in the quantum realm. That would have been so fucking hilarious, bro.
Wasn't for me. Yes, an ant isn't particularly too exciting when you've got Spider-Man on the other end of the spectrum, but it just works. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania comes out this week, and guys, I was jazzed. Listen, I was somebody who actively defended Phase 4 from the hate.
What is that? Oh shit, what is that?
All the criticisms and Phase I disagreed with. I even liked Eternals.
I beg your pardon?
I know, shocker, right? Go ahead and burn me at the stake for that opinion. I get it. A lot of people didn't love it, but I genuinely had an amazing time with Phase 4. And while there are some movies I didn't love, I still like the Phase overall. And now here we are at Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and As someone who loved the previous two Ant-Man movies, I walked out of this one mildly disappointed. As a setup for Phase 5 and what's to come with the Kang Dynasty, there's a lot that works there. It definitely does set up for what's to come. But as a story for Scott and Cassie, I just don't know. Now, I'm not allowed to share too many spoilers in this video, so I've got to refrain from diving too deep, but let's dive in anyway, guys, into the quantum realm, shall we? Scott Lang is living life post-Avengers now. The man has fought with the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and every Marvel hero to save the universe and stop Thanos, and now he's a book writer who wrote...
Yeah, that was funny, too, how he described, like he was talking about Rocket in his book. Like, so Scott, like he said, Scott's an author in the universe now. And it's like the movie started off with him reading an excerpt from his book to a group of people. And they're doing a montage along with it. And the way he was like talking about how he met Rocket was fucking hilarious. It was so hilarious.
A memoir on all these adventures. Such a fun little role for Paul Rudd that fits him, I believe. Cassie has grown older but is getting out of jail for protesting. And great things have happened for Hope Van Dyne as she's built a company that's basically doing all the good things that one can do in the world. A little ironic with how things were going outside of the movie. And Hank and Janet are back together again happily. But Cassie's experimenting with the...
And that was another thing too, for it to be called Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, it wasn't a lot of Wasp. And I think because of Evangeline Lilly stuff going on outside of the film, and that's not me offering a rebuke of her, you know, I'm not going to go into that here. I just think that was unfair to her, the way they handled that. Like, she shouldn't be castigated and chastised for views that she has outside of the film. Like, and that's what it seemed like. It seemed like they limited her role because of that, because people were pissed off with her. And same thing with Bill Murray, obviously for completely different reasons than her. You know, I'm not going to sit here and defend Bill Murray. I don't know what's going on with Bill Murray, but I've heard certain things that led to him having the role that he had in this film, which was like literally maybe 5 minutes, if that. So, but yeah.
The quantum realm gets everyone sucked into it, and now trapped, they must find a way out while dealing with the mysterious new conqueror of the realm, Kang. Rudd is hilarious again in this role as Scott Lang with sharp comedic timing and that goofy humor he's known well for. Scott Lang is a lot of fun. But let's talk about the acting and some of the other cast, because I gotta say, I didn't quite love Catherine Newton as Cassie. I thought maybe not enough charm on her own. She ripped off of Rudd really well, but unfortunately, she came up a little short and maybe just a little too, I don't know, typical, shortchanged. I don't really know what, it just wasn't there for me. It just wasn't there for me with Cassie. I wanted her to stand alone and to really be a great hero on her own, but unfortunately, when those times came in the movie, I just wasn't feeling it. And maybe it's Catherine Newton, maybe it's the way the character is written. I just wasn't into it that much. And while I love Michael Douglas as an actor, he was definitely phoning it in, it felt like. I mean, it felt like the man just showed up to grab his check and go, because there are scenes where he literally just shows up and I'm like, barely any line delivery, man just shows.
Yeah, he was even like, I'm down to come back. Like, this man is straight Harrison Ford with this franchise right now. Like, I'll come back if you kill my character off.
Pulls up. I'm like, definitely thinking that he might be phoning this one in. Bill Murray's character, wasted. Cut him out the movie. Really didn't have a big role in this film, and I will admit, maybe they're going for the Melissa McCarthy in the Marvel movie type of deal, but it just did not work here. Evangeline Lilly just felt, I don't know, kind of there. Maybe they cut some stuff out from her character because of what happened with her in those protests. I don't know, guys. Michelle Pfeiffer was great as usual, and I won't say
that's so fucking crazy to me, bro. Like, but that I'm not this channel's not politics based, and I'm not going to go into politics unless the film calls for it, you know. But I just think that's so unfair. Like, and I'm not here to simp for an actor, you know, an actress or an actor or anything, but it's like, you know, don't sacrifice your story and the character that we've, you know, come to fuck with because of shit like that, unless they do some obscene stuff, which Evangeline Lilly did not do. So yeah, I just found that very ridiculous, that like it seemed like they cut a lot of her scenes or wrote a diminished role for her as Wasp because of that stuff. And that's like, man, that's wax. That's weak sauce to me, bro.
Say a bad thing about Catwoman. Okay, she was great. But Jonathan Majors, wow. We got to talk about Jonathan Majors, guys. The man had presence, okay? Whenever Kang came on screen, I'm not gonna lie, I was intimidated. I was like, look, man, I would not want to pick a fight with this guy.
He has like this, like he had like this stoic, regal nature about him that was just like, yo, like I ain't like it was at a point where after he threatened Scott by, you know, the kid, like, if you don't go get the, you know, the multiverse engine for me, like I'm going to kill Cassie. Like he had her yoked up in her cell and everything. He literally let them out of their cells with their suits. They had their suits on and everything, so they could fight him if they wanted to. And it was kind of like Scott got in his face a little bit. He was like, "What you about to do, little nigga? Like what you about to do?" Oh, he even told him, he was like, "Yeah, you're out of your league, bro." Like, don't play with me, bro.
Which Avenger did I kill? Were you one of the Avengers I killed? Like, what? This man is intimidating. He's got great presence. He's got this dark aura around him that you can just feel, that gives you chills. It really makes you feel intimidating. However, I do think he's a little bit misused in this movie. The character was underused, and the motives were not well described. Half the time Kang was on screen, he was used simply as an expositional device to describe to the viewer everything that's going on. And I don't think we saw nearly enough of his powers, nor did we truly witness his villainous motives. It just felt like he was bad for the sake of the script. Bad for the sake of being convenient. Bad for the sake of being bad.
Yeah.
And MODOK?
Oh, yeah.
I think this version of MODOK is going to work for some people. I won't spoil it and tell you exactly how they changed this character from the comics, but there are some significant changes. For some, it's going to work, and for me, it did not. I thought they did this character dirty. I was like, this is not MODOK. This is not his character. They did him dirty, y'all. Dirty, y'all. And I think some of the stuff with MODOK robbed us from more screen time with Kang and getting to know that character a little bit more. I don't know. Kind of felt like a distraction, and guys, the CGI face does not look good. Really does not look great. I thought maybe by the time the final film came around, I would enjoy the look. Maybe it will be like, okay, this is so hokey, it works. No, it doesn't. The mask looked awesome, but that stretched out face did not look great. The script for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania also was something I did not love. While Majors had lines that truly delivered, it felt like things were oddly underexplained and plot convenience heavy, especially in the first about 30 to 40 minutes. It almost felt like they were just moving along to get to Kang so that there would be tension and conflict in the story. Things were just happening and falling into place a little too easily for me to stay that interested in that first 30 to 40. I just felt like the lines delivered from the script were something I could just waltz in front of camera and do, and I wanted more from that. I wanted some better delivered lines. I wanted some sharply more well-written wit. What am I saying here? I'm watching a Marvel movie. And I know. But even for the Marvel movie usual, it just felt a little undercooked. Some of the jokes were absolutely not landing, and I will admit, on a rewatch of Thor: Love and Thunder, yes, those jokes do drag on and on and on. Oh, shit.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
And the same thing happened here in Ant-Man. The jokes just dragged out a little too long. It felt try hard at times. But I did like Scott, Kang, and the visuals were a load of fun, guys. We were in the quantum realm for a lot of it, which I didn't love that we were in it for so long, but I did like the visuals in the quantum realm and the creatures and the colors and how
they did their thing with that
looked.
stuff.
And besides a few shots, it did look believable. It did look really, really fun. I really thought the visuals had a lot of flair to them. And after Kang shows up, the movie does pick up and gain some urgency, which really helped me after. Because let me tell you, before that, I was struggling. I was like, dang, man, this is rough. Once we get to Kang, there's some urgency. There's more oomph in the movie. And I start to really pull my seat up a little. There is fun to be had, though. I don't want to say that it's not fun. There's definitely some fun stuff. Feels like it's Star Wars meets Marvel with a sprinkle of Rick and Morty. There's some fun times to be had in the movie. There's some fun sequences. Paul Rudd plays off of people so very well. So there is some fun
it was like a scene where Scott and Cassie are in like the encampment of the like quote unquote rebellion. And there was a scene where Kang's troops and the ships come down to attack and everything. I was like, yo, this is straight from Force Awakens, which I think Force Awakens is the only like sequel trilogy film that you can like compare quality wise to the original trilogy. And I look, I'm still a person that thinks the prequels are fucking hot garbage. Like, as some young argues with me about this all the time, I think the prequels are hot trash. But I still am a proponent of Force Awakens. I like Force Awakens a lot. So
here, and I don't want to just be Debbie Downer the whole time, but I think out of the three, it's my least favorite personally, and I just didn't love this film. I just had so many problems from the script, the phoned-in acting, the jokes that don't really land, a little bit of a misuse of Kang, what they did with MODOK, man, it really dropped it down a lot for me.
let me see what if Comics Explained did anything about it. Well, Geek Culture Explained. I'm gonna check the Comics Explained proper channel to see if he talked about it on there. See, he didn't post anything. Yeah. Let me see. Let me go to Comics Explained and see if he talked about it at all. Damn. He hasn't talked about it. Well, alrighty then. Did he do a short about it? Come on, Rob. I wanted to see your thoughts, man. He probably posted something on Twitter. I'll check that later. See what he said. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the podcast network. Yeah, man, he didn't do anything here. All right. Let me see what John Campy, if he said anything about it. Yeah, no, I've been watching John Campy for since A when it was called AMC Movie Talk. Then when he went to Collider and finally with his own show now, like that whole spear, I really fucked with, especially Schnepp. RIP to the great Schnepp, bro. Schnepp, yo, that when Schnepp was doing Heroes, bro, like I was in like high school at the time, so he put me on to like a lot of comics out of he put me onto a lot of like comics outside of. Here it is. Here's a Quantumania review. A lot of comics like outside of like Marvel and DC. So Heroes was really my thing, and obviously Robert Meyer Burnett, who's on the John.
When it
Campy
comes to
show,
citing
like,
sources,
I
details
like,
matter.
These motherfuckers are part of my
Introducing
like,
Grammarly's
teen years,
citations
basically, like,
features.
teen years.
Of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, the newest installment of the MCU, the one they've been saying is an Avengers level event kind of film, is now out in theaters. A bunch of people have seen it, and in the past week or so. Ray and I went to go see it last night.
You stick by them bum ass prequels, bro. I hate sand. It's so coarse. Oh my god. I can't.
And you guys know that Ant-Man is actually my second favorite sub-franchise in the MCU. My favorite is Captain America. My next favorite is Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man, and I love what Peyton Reed has done with this franchise. I love Paul Rudd in the role of this franchise, and been very, very excited to see Jonathan Majors, who's kind of ruling the world right now.
He is, bro. Jonathan
Majors in this, and to see his Kang, and we're going to introduce, because we know Kang Dynasty is coming, Avengers Kang Dynasty is coming, all that kind of stuff. So this is a non-spoiler review. We will be doing an open spoiler review on Monday, but because on Sunday, which is when I would normally do an open spoiler review, we have our live show that we're doing in Burbank with me, Greg Alba, and Christian Harloff. And hey, can't wait to see you guys who are coming, for those of you who bought tickets. Here's my basic feelings on it. Kang is fantastic. All the hype that people gave Jonathan Majors playing the role of Kang was fully deserved. He was a fantastic character. Loved him. He truly was menacing. You did feel I love it when a villain's out there and you feel like, how the hell are they going to overcome this? Right. So I loved him in that. The movie definitely had the moments of that Ant-Man humor that I love. I love the Paul Rudd Ant-Man humor. For whatever reason, just the way his character is, it makes me smile. It makes me laugh. I really enjoy that a lot. Cassie, I was telling Rob before the show started, I really thought going into the movie, even though I had high hopes, that Cassie was going to be a character that really annoyed me, all because of one shot in the trailer. This is not rational, but it did. One shot in the trailer, her walking out of a prison cell with this look on her face. I was like, oh, I get it. She's going to be the hard-edged, emo, gothy, without dressing gothy.
She didn't annoy
kind
me,
of girl. She's going to be about whatever, kind of whatever. And
so
she's just
whatever.
Gonna be annoying.
Came off as like
you know what?
savior
I really liked the Cassie character. I by the end of it, I actually really, really did like her character a lot. I love, I think my favorite episode of the What If animated series was the one that clearly showed that the most dangerous individual in the MCU is actually Hank Pym. I love that episode.
Yeah.
And for me, this movie, I won't go into why. It's again, Hank Pym is probably the most dangerous guy in the MCU. And I love that they did that. I won't go into the details on why. Some of the action was pretty good, all that kind of stuff. That's me trying to be positive. I did not like this movie. I didn't hate it because of all the good positive things I just mentioned. I did not hate this movie. I don't think it is a definitively bad film. But
I don't either. Yeah.
For my second favorite sub-series in the MCU franchise, I really did walk out quite disappointed. It's not an Ant-Man movie. In either spirit or by the literal definition. See, you can be an Ant-Man movie, even if Paul Rudd isn't as front and center as you think he would be. It can still truly be an Ant-Man movie if it is in spirit. It's not an Ant-Man movie in spirit or literally. And that's fine. Okay, put that aside. Judge the movie on its own merits regardless. I still found on its own merits, it just didn't work. I am not accustomed to going, oh my God, I can't look at this in a Marvel film.
Damn.
I had several big, again, we're no spoilers here, so I'm not going to go into the details on which. I hated MODOK. I thought I was going to really like MODOK. I really did. Because I heard some people describing him, and he is exactly like some of the reviewers have described. And so I thought from the description I would really actually quite get a kick out of MODOK.
No.
I hated MODOK.
No.
Hated MODOK. I wish I didn't. There are a couple of actors who pop up in this film who there was no reason for them to be in this film.
Bill Murray.
There are entire scenes of this movie that had absolutely no function in the movie whatsoever. And oh my God, there is a plot hole in this movie that once it was introduced, and I won't say what it was, we will talk about it in the open spoiler discussion. There's a plot hole in this movie that is so huge that I could never get like once they introduced it, I was like, they introduced this thing in the movie, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. If that's that, how does it at all make any sense of this? And it just ate away at my brain the entire time I was watching the movie. And I was kind of half expecting by the end of the movie, they would explain why maybe it's not such a huge plot hole, but they never did. And then the movie itself introduces more plot holes, not just with this movie, but of the whole timeline concept that Marvel has running right now, which you and I talked about beforehand, but we can't talk about it on this thing in general.
I think I know what he's talking about.
Not a definitively bad film.
I think I know what he's talking about.
But at the end of the day, not enjoyable. And I'm not going to go back to watch this again. Now, this brings up for me something that I said in my out of theater review and reaction. And I've come to this conclusion. The MCU has lost its magic. I'm not saying the MCU sucks. I'm not saying the MCU is bad now. I'm not saying the MCU can't put out and does not still every once in a while put out something great. But you see, when I say that the MCU has now lost its magic, what I mean is where every studio will put out good movies and bad movies, and you go into a film and you hope for the best, and maybe you get something great, maybe sometimes you don't. That's the movie business. Marvel, though, had a magic where every time for years that I would go into a movie theater or an MCU project, I just knew it was going to be fantastic and I would absolutely love it. Like there's a stretch from 2014 to 2018, hell, 2019, where it was like banger after banger after banger after banger. You go in, you just knew it was going to be great. Let's go over to the classroom for a second here. So like the MCU magic is gone because again, like from let's look at this run down from 2014 all the way up to Infinity War in 2018. Hell, we could have even included 2019 in this. What do we got? Captain America Winter Soldier. Awesome. Guardians of the Galaxy was next. Awesome. Avengers Age of Ultron. Really good. But as the years have gone on and I've watched it more and more, I now truly believe Age of Ultron is also awesome. First Ant-Man movie. Awesome. Captain America Civil War. Awesome.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange. Awesome. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Really good. I didn't think as good as the first one, but still really, really good. Spider-Man Homecoming. Awesome. Thor Ragnarok. Awesome. Black Panther. Awesome. Avengers Infinity War. Awesome. It was hit after hit after hit. It had a magic that no other studio had. Warner Brothers couldn't do this. Paramount couldn't do it. Universal couldn't do it. Nobody else could do it. But with the MCU, for year after year after year after year, every single time we went into the theater, they did the unthinkable because making one good movie is nearly impossible. And they were, I can bring up that list again. This is all in a row. Banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. All right. So that's what I mean when I say that it had this magic. It had something to it that you're fine even if you don't have it, but they had something to it where every single time they went in there, they were killing it.
You know what's interesting about that list?
What's that?
Can you put that list up again?
Goddamn ads. Yo, chat, let me know a good ad blocker, bro.
Oh, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. You had Hydra, villain. You saw Guardians of the Galaxy. You had Ronan the Accuser, Ultron, Ant-Man. You had Yellow Jacket, who comes back, whatever. Captain America: Civil War. You had one another. Doctor Strange. You had Dormammu. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You had Ego. Spider-Man: Homecoming. You had Vulture. Thor Ragnarok. You had Hela. Black Panther. You had
Killmonger.
None of those people came back.
Yeah.
They were not part of some larger, they played into, but they were movies unto themselves. They were not all leading to some other thing. And yet they were still interconnected to the larger Infinity War, but the story that was being told was confined to those movies.
Rob has a point there. Like maybe they should have, Kang should, and look, like I said, I think this would have worked more if it was if this was a Fantastic Four film, or if it included some of the Fantastic Four characters, or I'm now seeing a third option now that Rob says this. You can still have the basic plot and have Kang being like the puppeteer, but another villain, which would have been cool.
You know, as much as I love Ultron, there's been no indication Ultron's coming back other than in What If, Infinity Ultron. Those movies worked on their own, and they worked as part of the larger tapestry of the MCU.
Both. It wasn't either or. They were able to do both.
They were able to do both. And I think one of the big mistakes of what we're seeing now is, like, I would love to have seen, in the case of Kang, like I was telling you early on, watching this movie.
Well, because I want to hear your review of this, but before we get into it, I want to finish this.
Okay.
Because this list,
I just want to say that list that you pointed out is unique.
Yeah.
And that's a big change in what's going on now.
And see all these movies? This is in a 4 to 5 year span. That, like, these movies were not all dropped in one year. All these movies were in like a 5 year span. Okay. Now let's just go over the last year and a half. All right.
Lord.
Let's are we able to get the classroom back up? Now let's look just the last year and a half. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I like it. Make no mistake, I like it.
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
But loved it.
I think the first Doctor Strange is
I mean,
superior,
I liked it. It was
obviously.
good. It was like any other studio that had a good movie. Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, I still enjoyed it. I liked it, but it's incredibly divisive and a huge step down from Thor Ragnarok. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I liked it, but I do not think it's a great movie. And actually, the more I think about it, the more problems I have with it. Hawkeye, I just didn't like. Moon Knight, I ended up being disappointed in. Ms. Marvel, the one thing on this list I can go, I loved that.
I love Ms. Marvel, bro.
She-Hulk was a big swing and a miss. And then Ant-Man 3 now, which, again, I don't think is a bad movie. Again, you look at this list, right? This is the last. By the way, all this is just within a year up. All this, a 5-year span. All this, all within about a year and a half. But as you go down this list, up here, you're like, killer, 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 killer. It had that magic where everything they were putting out was crushing it. Now, I'm lucky if I like it. Nothing on this list aside from Ms. Marvel is something that I went
John
to.
Go hard. Let me
Sometimes life gets you
more
more physical health. When we dedicate our
Sci-fi. I mean, as people said, it's a big sci-fi movie. A lot of science.
Go to you for your review on this quite yet. But Rob,
I work.
Yeah, Rob, you did see Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. What did you think about the movie?
Okay, here I have to say at first, everything in it I love. It's right up my alley. Big sci-fi. I mean, as people said, it's a big sci-fi movie. A lot of science fiction concepts that I loved. But here's what I loved everybody in it. I love the portrayal of everything. I love the design. Like you, I wasn't so keen on MODOK. But here's the thing. It just didn't. I couldn't wrap my head around Scott Lang and Ant-Man. I understand the quantum realm. He belongs there, theoretically. But I couldn't, after coming off those 2 Ant-Man movies, it's so different. And what I enjoyed about Paul Rudd as Ant-Man and interacting with all these characters, there was a charm in both of those movies, both Ant-Man movies. You know, whether he's expanding a children's toy in the middle of a chase through San Francisco, or the climax of Ant-Man 1, none of that charm was in this movie. And I felt like I was watching a character that was miscast in his own plot, if that makes any sense.
I get that, though.
I like that saying. A character who was miscast in his own plot.
That's what I really believe that was true. And I get all this. I understand. By the way, I love who's playing Cassie. I saw her on the red carpet. I thought she was great. And
Jonathan, how did they get your wife in this movie, by the way?
And that kind of goes into what I was saying, though. And I'm gonna leave it there because I'm about to wrap the stream up. But like that's the thing right there. Like I said, I think this works better as a Fantastic Four film. You know, like I think this would have been a great Fantastic Four film. That's why I'm like, damn, y'all kind of shot your load with a villain with Kang. Like Kang could have been introduced in Fantastic Four. Well, obviously he who remains Kang was introduced in Loki, but Kang the Conqueror, like proper, quote unquote proper, could have been introduced to Fantastic Four. That's another problem that the film has too, though, is that like I feel like they could just like allow Ant-Man to beat this Kang because you're going to see another Kang, but it's like nah, I don't like none of these Kangs should lose to Ant-Man in my opinion, bro. And then it's like all the other stuff. So yeah, I like what the John Campbell show was saying there and everything. So I agree for the most part. So and that's where I'm at with Marvel too, man. Like, so we'll see, man. I'm probably going to be doing. I have ideas for a couple of video essays. I've been brainstorming some video essays and like starting to work on scripts and everything. So you're going to be seeing more of that stuff coming on the channel soon. And obviously Extendo Clip podcast. So look out for those. But this is definitely stuff that I'm going to be talking about with the MCU. So stay tuned for that, guys. But I'm going to go ahead and bid you adieu here on the stream, guys. It's been fun. Look out for I'm gonna recut this to just like the stream is still going to be on here. The full stream will be on here, but I'm going to like segment out just the review aspect of Quantumania, like the main body that I did at the top of the show. So look out for that. Show love to that. Like, share, and subscribe, all that. And yeah, here on the stream, like, share, and subscribe as well. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace. Be easy.